I'm Larry and I'm here at Cambridge Audio's headquarters to speak to Ben about the new NP30. So can you just explain a little bit what it's about, Ben?
Yeah, okay, well this is the new NP30 here, this box. It's our new network music player. So it's a source device, so you connect it to your existing hi-fi system, to your amplifier, and this can essentially be broken down into four main categories of what it actually does. First and foremost is network music, secondly internet radio, thirdly streaming services, and finally local USB media.
Okay, what exactly is network music?
Well, network music is basically any music or audio tracks that the unit sees on your home network. So the NP30 can either connect wirelessly to your router, wherever that may be, or you can hardwire it directly with an Ethernet cable into the back of the NP30 to give that connection. And then from that point on, network music, the NP30 works via something called UPnP. Now UPnP stands for Universal Plug and Play, and it's the standard that network music players use to talk to one another. So this will connect to any UPnP server. Now that might be a computer on your network, or it might be a NAS drive, it might be a PC, it might be a Mac, but anywhere that contains any music on your network, this can access it and it can play it back directly through the unit and obviously through your hi-fi system.
Can you just explain what a NAS drive is?
Well, a NAS drive is this little box here. It stands for Network Attached Storage, and it's essentially a hard drive that sits on your network. It has its own IP address, and what that means is that the NP30 can see the NAS drive at all times. It's always available on the network, so it doesn't involve a computer having to be switched on or having to have a certain program running.
What about internet radio? You mentioned that. How does that work with this?
Absolutely. Through the connection to the network, obviously you have internet access as well. So the NP30 can access this over 30,000 internet radio stations and play them back directly from the unit, again without a computer having to be switched on.
And what about streaming services?
Well, streaming services, absolutely. They are a little bit like an internet radio station, but there's an element of control from the listener. So streaming services that we currently support, like Orpeo, MP3 Tunes, Live 365, what a streaming service lets you do is you can go to the streaming service and you can enter your own sort of search options, if you like, and I can sort of build up my preferences in that way. So it's a much more interactive thing. You have an element of control over what you're listening to, as opposed to just a radio station, which is whatever happens to be broadcast. But we actually have a website, a web portal called Uvol as well, that you can access and set up your own account, and you can manage all these streaming services as well.
What about podcasts? Can I listen to those through it?
Yeah, sure. Like streaming services, podcast services do vary according to the country that you're in, but absolutely it's an option on the NP30 to connect to podcasts, and these are typically, you can browse podcasts typically by genre, popularity, subject, and they also so you can play these back directly through the NP30 without having to download them first.
I can see there's a USB port. Explain what that's used for.
Yeah, we've actually got there's a USB connection on the back of the NP30 and also on the front here. And what that simply lets you do, it's a convenience thing. If you've got some tunes or some tracks just on a USB memory stick, I can plug that in quickly and I can play those back directly through the unit, again without a computer having to be switched on. So it's just another convenience factor. So like I say, it's broken down into four things: my network music, my internet radio, my streaming services, and local USB media as well on a memory stick.
Okay, well it seems simple enough. How do I control it all?
The NP30 is really, really easy to control. I can either control it using the buttons on the front panel on the scroll wheel directly from the NP30 itself, or I have a dedicated infrared remote control, but the best way to control it is via our smartphone, our iPhone application. Essentially this is a full remote control for the unit. Unlike some other control apps that are available, which only control the network music, our app actually controls, our Uvol remote app controls the whole NP30 from internet radio. I can control my streaming services, I can even control local USB media. But the best thing about it, obviously the network music, I can access all of the music that I might have stored on my NAS drive. I get all my album art and the track information directly up on my phone in front of me, so I can control the NP30 and have all the information from the comfort of my armchair.
Brilliant. Well, thanks very much for explaining all that. There you have it, in a nutshell, the NP30. If you need any more information, just go to the website www.cambridgeaudio.com. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.